Dear Dhamma friends, today also we are going to take time for the talk. May everyone settle down for the talk and give the consent with 3 times sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Ye assu dharata patavi sanyang paticca teda nasanti. Ye assu dharata akathanam chayatanam paticca teda nasanti. Atti che vayang dharata mattaya didang viññānaṁ chāyatana saññaṁ paticca ekattang ti. Dear Dhamma friends, we have taken this Chula Sutta for this series of Dhamma talks, and slowly we are advancing along this particular sutta. So in each and every chapter, the Buddha summarized the early parts to a somewhat practical gist, and then leading further into the more subtle areas. So this is the kind of a summary of the yesterday's talk or yesterday's field that we discussed, and whereby the Buddha says the particular yogi who has advanced up to that level or managed up to that level, he knows whatever the disturbances or friction or tension there might be, dependent on the perception of earth, that means Pathavi, they are no more disturbing, because he or she knows how to see through it, as well as whenever this roughness, whenever the hardness, smoothness or heaviness, lightness happens, he or she never consider it as a hindrance or friction. Wait till it becomes so proximate, immediate, and see through it. And as far as one's own experience, one's own ability to see through, do not consider it as a disturbance. Dharata means disturbance, distraction or stress, and know how to see through. So they are, as far as the yogi's practical side is concerned, one thing is the yogi goes prepared. It knows when the meditation is continuing, when and where he or she is renounced from the household life and come to the monastic atmosphere or the retreat atmosphere, knows the retreat atmosphere is not the nibbana, it is not the release. There are some kind of distractions, stress and frustration, but very knows it is less than household life, therefore accept it in a welcoming way, in a pakkandati, plunge into that, because he or she has well acquainted with and dealt it with earlier, knows how to see through these little difficulties, and therefore never become grudge against the atmosphere in the forest or in the retreat atmosphere. Even the distractions and the friction available, know how to go through. Therefore, whenever go and sit, don't entertain these difficulties. They see through it and use the posture, sitting posture, as a solace, as an object, and plunge into that. So much so, you entertain the comfortable sitting or symmetrical, relaxed sitting, so that it knows now I am no more worried about the household affairs or village affairs, no more worried about the retreat center or forest. If at all I am concerned, I am adverting my mind, take the body as the base, as it has a pivotal point, it has the reference point. And when and where the body become friendly, When and where you are acquainted with the body, further you knows the body means nothing but the four elements, and whatever the experience you are gaining, you can put into three cages. This is regarding the earth element, this is regarding the water element, this is air element, this is the heat element, and nothing beyond that. So that gives kind of a completion, kind of a comprehension. The body means nothing other than this four element, and soon or no soon understand out of these four elements also, only one donkey at a time. Only one element become prominent, so much so that element suppress the other three. So therefore don't worry even on the whole four element, just take care about whatever the prominent. So by plunging into that, by entering into that whatever prominent, he or she verily or consciously or with discernment knows I am no more worries about the household life, no more worries and the tension regarding the monastic life, no more worried about the body as such. I am, if at all there's a friction or worries, it is about then and there arising element which is prominent. So he take delight of it, even though it is a friction, even though it is negative maybe, even though it is a tension, frustration, stress. Because by taking that tension, by means of that tension, you can do away with so much of distractions. So therefore, take delight. And in this particular sutta, the Buddha has taken the earth element as the example. So when and where earth element become prominent by itself, so I am categorically telling in this place, don't go in search of earth element. Earth element will manifest by itself. If it is manifesting, it is your duty is to plunge into that, enter into that, see through that. At the beginning it appears like a hard and fast, concrete, wall-like, but when and where you become immediate with it, when and where you familiarize it, you know that it is going into pieces without falling apart, and slowly, slowly you try to see the space in between tiny, tiny particles, and ultimately slowly, 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 the particle side or material part of the earth becoming less and less, and the space part or non-material part become more and more. So this is the way the earth element loses its individual characteristics and goes into the common character. Earth element is nothing but just tiny particles floating in this space. This particle as well as the air element particles, heat element particles, water element, nothing difference, exactly the same. So whether you enter into the game, enter into the scene through water element or air element, whatever may be, when and where you see the space midst of particles, when and where the attention go to the space element, the discrimination, individual characteristic or intrinsic characteristics of the four elements become insignificant, immaterial, and therefore what is the element you have selected to enter into this immaterial, once that element become dissolved and it is going to pieces, and therefore don't worry whether you started with the earth element or water element or whatever may be. It matters only at the beginning, only when you understand the individual characteristics of the elements. But when and where plunge into, you are bound to see the space. Ultimately you will see the earth part, so to say, is so insignificant. The space part or akasa becomes so prominent. So ultimately you feel like reporting, no more earth. Now I can feel frictionless area of the space. So much so it is happening. When you come to the space, you now roaming around. You go this way, that way about the space, and you make your mind occupied, make your mind obsessed with only the space, not the household affairs, not the problem pertaining to the retreat center or aranya, not the problem pertaining to your body, not the friction or frustration pertaining to the earth element, whatever may be, and now you are with the space element, and that means you know you have done it earlier, you go prepared, so therefore your immunity to see through the earth element, to see through the fire element, to see through the air element is not for the first time. It's a repetitive application, and when and where you go to the space element, you find you have done away so much of friction, done away with so much of tension, stress. But still, mind is not liberated. Still there is a kind of a defilement. There's a kind of a tension. There's a kind of a friction. And that is the point. Yesterday we stopped it. And then the Buddha says that is the function of the consciousness. The consciousness is now making an issue. Either you take delight of the space or hate space and take delight of the earth element. So when that happens, even though you reach gradually the very subtle area that is called finer material part, the tension never reduces. Still, the mind get a reason to be get tensed, reason to be get stressed and frustrated because of liking and disliking on this space versus the earth element. And that is the part, that is the field we reduced up to the yesterday's talk. And now the Buddha is giving the yet another commentary on this field. There it is, whatever the disturbances there might be, depending on the perception of the forest, that is no more. And whatever the disturbances, there might be dependent on the endless space, no more. But there is a kind of a friction, there's a kind of a disturbance, there's a kind of a tension. And Buddha says that is the tension due to your consciousness. Consciousness, this is a function of the consciousness. So now you must try to understand the same mechanism. Just let the consciousness to play hell. Just let the consciousness to create tension, create frustration, but don't recognize with it. Don't claim it. Don't take it as a gift, but by performance of the consciousness, try to see through it. That means when and where some people, maybe 50% of the population of the yogis, when and where they see space, they become really hilarious, saying that I have done away with all, only I with the space. Therefore, how can I maintain the space for longer time, or how can I do away with the Patavi Sanya, earth element? That is a one kind of a thinking. There may be another 50%, they feel so lost, they feel so alienated, they feel so lonely whenever they feel space. Therefore, they quickly wish to go back to something substantial like Patavisanya. So therefore they say, how can I withdraw from that situation? Even if I wish to open my eyes, I can't. Even I wish to come back to my normal consciousness, I can't. What can I do? Like they develop kind of a phobia to the space with respect to the earth element. So when these two happens, very difficult to give black and white instructions, unless otherwise you discern his or her value judgment, his or her commentary. So one day I was little explaining about this situation in one day retreat, and then I told there are some people, even they reach this endless space, there's a situation, they become frightened, they become lost. And they complain, I lost my mindfulness, I lost my concentration, and please rescue me, I'm nowhere. Then one lady told, that cannot be, Bhante, because it's the result of your meditation. You know the endless space is less and less defilements. So there may be only a liking for that situation. I can't understand dislike. Then I told, when you are associating yogis, 50% have likings, 50% of disliking. So she says, no, it must be a liking, that must be sammaditthi. So how that liking to space becomes source of suffering? It is never give any suffering, no friction. It is a frictionless path, it's a comfort zone. Then I told that if you are arguing that the endless space is the ultimatum and it's the least amount of suffering, least amount of friction, when you expect that and not having, then there's a suffering. You have expectation for space in the next day sitting, but if it is not coming, then you are suffering. That's the way, whatever may be, whether you like the space or earth element, there's a reason for friction, suffering, stress. So therefore the function of the Vijnana is separate them as two different extremes and liking for what, this and dislike for that. That is what it happens. It comes from blues. It is no reason. There is no involvement of your conscious judgmental thing. It is coming. So your mistake is you recognize with that, you think it is my liking and disliking. Instead you have to understand, this is the magic of the mind. This is the way mind is going to take the mean advantage. Ultimately we become slaves. We become servants, and Vijnana is leading us. Vijnana has a separate agenda. That agenda, unless otherwise you challenge, unless otherwise you ready to see through, always perverted in the nature. It's cheating. Put you into a slavery. That's the way magic is happening. So to go up to this level also quite a challenging part. It is not a simple thing. Even then you see the volatile nature, the magic nature, the transition nature, and if you're going to take one side, that will be the end of your peace of mind. That will be the end of your contentment. That will be the end of your loving kindness to yourself. Then you start torturing. So you have to understand, at a time, consciousness has this double game. Sometimes, for some people we can say, like emptiness, space. Some instead, like something. Pataviyapo, Tejo, Vayu, as far as the materialistic concern. So when this is happening, if you are a Buddhist, if you are a person with correct view, if you are a person with correct thought, you have to understand this is nothing pertaining to me. This is the way Vijnana is playing the role. So therefore let the Vijnana to play and spy. Observe it, how this liking and disliking happens. So this part is so tricky, unless otherwise go prepared. Whatever the Vijnana going to justify, you consider this as your baby or your product, and ultimately you are going to justify it. Each time you are going to justify, you get lost. Each time you are going to justify it, you get committed, and unwanted frustration is happening. So therefore, if a person well instructed to understand this field, now I am in a field, my mind knows how to not to worry about the household affairs. That does not indicate there is no household affairs. There are, but you know how to see through it. You take the forest living as a pivotal point so that you pushed away day-to-day affairs. And you take the forest life. And when that becomes familiarized, you take your bodily posture in order to push it off forest life or retreat atmosphere. Whenever you become familiar, whenever you become seasoned with your body, you take the prominent element so that you can push away the whole body. And when you're the prominent element, in this case, the earth element, when that becomes your pivotal value, benchmark or reference point, you see through it, and then here and there you try to see it is bubbling, dancing, it is not permanent, it is not concrete. There are some here cracks and space, and you see through it, and then you find the space. So use the space in order to replace, push off the earth element, and when even the space is there, the vijnana is sometimes says, now you lost, you have no concentration, you have no mindfulness. So how can that be? There is no object. Please go back and have force breathing, or Pandita Sayadaw used to say, whenever there is no such feeling over the body, they used to bring sand and sit upon that in order to get some feelings. Because at that time you lose all the feelings, and ultimately you read it as, I have no object, no mindfulness, no concentration. So it becomes, you start cold sweating, you start nauseating, you feel phobia. So therefore you feel something known, something familiar, or known devil is better than unknown. So that is how Vijnana is playing the trick. So there, if you let it happen in 1001 times, and it is the art, the Buddha is telling, not to have no tension, but have tension, but see through it. One after the other, replace one with subtle one. That will replace by still subtle one. That will replace by still subtle one. That is the way you see through tension, not that tension is not available. Something like when you are shooting target board, you day by day you go to the inner circle and you aim. You try to plunge into the bullseye. Not that outer circles are not available. You have mastered them. So why not? Why should you worry about the outer circles and the board? Let them be a relative example. You go to the center, bullseye. More and more you go there, the outer circles indicate you are no more a fool. You are no more a person searching for tension. You know how to do away with that. So therefore the way the Buddha explained this Sunnatha Vakkanti, descending into this voidness, is not killing all the distraction, just avoiding, just by not worrying. Instead you know what is the object you are worrying. That you plunge into, that you embrace. Not due that it is sweet, it itself is a friction, itself is a tension, but you know it is relatively small, and that is the way you understand the function of the vijnana. Consciousness is subtler than the space. It is more wider than the space. So unless otherwise you develop the sensitivity, you realize the subtlety of your sphere, mind, to the sphere, to feel so-called space, no objects. But still if you are confident enough, still if you remember the path you came from the gross to the subtlety, so therefore not to give up the game, but to keep on, look forward, then only you can see, even you reach to a certain extent this endless space, there's a underneath, there's a kind of a racket, there's a kind of a agenda to get involved in the have and have not. That's why the Buddha says, the Kachayana Sutta, Yebuyena Kachayana, Dve Anta Loko, Attitancha, Natitancha. Or Kachayana, the whole worldings are separated into two armies, two parties. Some people hold into the eternalism, Atti. Yes, I have my soul, it is eternal, so life after life, it is there. That's all eternalism. And there is a completely, yet another side, they are only materialistic. They say, when the material part finished, that's end. So they are materialistic. They don't believe the eternalism. So this is the way. And now you can see the shadow of that duality on this earth element and space element or akasa. Whenever these two happen, our mind, it is according to our karmic forces and according to our value judgment, according to our likings and disliking, either takes space or elements. So knowing that, whenever mind complains, telling that I am very lonely, I am very cornered, I am alone, lonely, and outcasted when I feel the space, you have to understand that indicate you hate the space, you like earth element. And sometimes whenever the earth element happens, you see that you hate earth element, telling it is frictional. How can I go into the space element? That means you hate earth element. These are not you. This is the universal law. Don't get sided. Let the mind to play in the open ground and see how this have and have not going to make a friction even at the subtlest space. And imagine when you are in the household life, when you are living with your dear and near one, how much you are partial, how much you are preconceived, how much you are with the premeditated, no mercy. You are really in the rigorous imprisonment, no way out. So therefore, when these people are coming out with justice or fairness, it's utter nonsense. They don't know. There is no reference point for them to understand the justice as injustice. Sammaditya and Michchaditya, they are talking about utter nonsense things. So therefore the Buddha never deny them. Of course they are suffering, so therefore nothing to deny because they are not a joke. They commit suicide. They kill each other. So much is substantial. So the Buddha says, there's no answer within that. You have to find the answer. Just renounce the life for a temporary basis or permanent basis and see in the renounced life a reason to be worried because that forest life is not so comfortable. So worry about that. And so much so you are worrying about the forest life or atmosphere in the retreat, you can forget about household life. And then, knowing this art, knowing this technique, still life while you are living in the forest, if you are worrying about the household, utterly you are a fool. Utterly you are idiot. Utterly you don't know. This is what happened. I am associating monks. They are utter idiots. They are talking about the household affairs. They are talking about the politics. They are talking about the sectarianism. This is, we are to protect Buddhism. It's an uncurable mental disease. They don't know the renunciation. Even after renunciation, for me, it's like eating your own vomit. Once vomited, you are going to eat the same. It's with hardness only you vomit. And you try to find whether there's a nutritional part there, or very smelly things. It may be too harsh. And that is the way. You can see crows and come and pick something in the vomit. It's simple. That's why the Buddha says, still if you are searching after you earned the house, renunciated life, temporarily or permanently, still if you are worrying, it is almost like a crow. It is beastly. You are listening to the Buddha, you have found the proper way and you are in it, in the forest monastery or in the retreat atmosphere, tell everyone, I am in a retreat. At least at this time, you can see who is disturbing you, close most people. When you go to a forest atmosphere, when you go renounce, not the general people disturb you. Very dear and near one or the only people can disturb you. It says, when Vajnananda used to say, it's like a poisonous arrow. They know where to hit. Your relatives, your friends, they are the worst lot. Wherever you go, they hit you. Because your softness, because of your the moisture nature, that's under the defilement. So you have to understand, it's very hard. It is to not only renunciation, but to make the perception of aranya sanya, how to make use this aranya sanya to get it off this grama sanya. That is exactly the technique you are using one after the other. Whenever you go to the aranya sanya, you take the posture in order to get rid of aranya sanya and the grama sanya. Whenever you come to the posture, take the most prominent element in order to get the aranya sanya, grama sanya, bodhili sanya, and take only the element. And that also go into the pieces without falling apart. Then take the space sanya or akasananchasa sanya, and verily you have to understand, with the help of this akasananchasa sanya, my deductive knowledge is to not to worry about household affairs, not to worry about the retreat or forest atmosphere, not to worry about the maintenance of the body, not to worry about the earth element, because now I have reached this akasa. Make use it. And if you do not make use it, that means you are not prepared. That means you have not enough theory understanding. You don't know how to use the deductive knowledge, so that cannot be replaced. That you have to assimilate it. So that is why while we are meditating, we are discussing each other. That's why while meditating, we listen to Dhamma. Because these things are not relevant to household life. These things are not relevant to the monastic life. These things are not relevant to the person, those who even can't keep the mind with your body. These are very subtle. And how much we are endowed, how much we are rich, how much we are juicy and sappy, each and everything is recorded. And each and every is tested for 2,600 years. So therefore we are not the forerunners. We are just following. But the thing is, Vijnana is always take separate, have and have not, and then split and rule, fighting between. You see what is the European countries are doing. They found two types of Muslim, Shia Muslim and Sheikh. They are fighting each other. So they are selling weapons. They are fighting vehemently each other, cutthroatism. So Western people are going to get the mean advantage. This is the total world politics. It is my own Vijnana is worse than the Western politics. I am not talking against the Western. And that was throughout the case in human history. Our history is utter nonsense. Bullshit. It is written by winning party, never written by the losing party. So therefore our Maha and everything is a winning party's fallacy, patriotic fallacy. From this point of view, but I know people will throw stone to me telling that I am denying everything. Not I am telling, what I am telling is my Vijnana or my consciousness is still subtler, and it's a worse politician how to gain the power by split and rule. So therefore whenever the yogi, whenever he or she is managed to see through tiny particles of earth element and see space element, understand not only the meditation, but your outlook, your preparedness, your theory understanding is becoming more and more crucial. So you have to understand now mind is going to play this trick and that trick. And different agendas. Only thing is, it it has to go through likings and disliking. So whole story of defilement start with this step. When and where likings and dislikings are there, you can't wash and clean. Then onward, everything is filthy. Then everything is committed. Then everything is leading to stress. Everything is leading to frustration, tension. So, not that you are going to do completely away from this likings and disliking. You have to understand this liking and disliking utterly happening within myself, no second person. Not outside. That is almost like enlightenment. So you will never complain someone telling this liking and disliking infused by you or injected by you. No chance. So let the liking and dislike to happen out of the blues and see the root cause, tannamanaditi. Your likings or your desire or your conceit or your egocentric thinking. The moment you understand, this liking happened due to my craving, or this is due to my conceit, or my egocentric idea, is not a defilement. That's the highest benevolent thing in your meditation. You are recognizing something bad. You are recognizing your own desire. You are recognizing your own conceit. You are recognizing your own egocentric thinking. And that very understanding is the most consummating thing, most precious thing in the meditation, that even the Buddha cannot do it for you. So therefore keep the mind open. Let the mind to play hell and different agendas, different records. Everything has to go through this liking and disliking. Whenever liking and disliking happen, don't let it be delayed. Catch it as soon as it happens. It's better. Then you are better off. But happen is we are delayed. We are pamada. We have to be appamada, not at the household affairs. You have no chance there. Not at the monastic life. You have no chance there. Not at the body level. No chance. Not at the elemental level. No chance. They are utterly mixed up with liking and dislike. Reduce up to the point to see the space versus matter. That is the equation E is equal to mc square, energy and matter. Whenever this relationship you see, still Einstein failed to see it, that relationship is utterly within you. There is no second person, no creator God, no intelligent design. Within you, then you feel anything you are suffering, no second person. You are the one. For me, it is like I feel like I am omnipotent, omnipresent creator God. I am the creator. Creator of what? Suffering. Creator of what? Tension. Creator of what? Stress. We are masters. And no two people difference. Each and everyone is master creating own suffering. So therefore listen to any person carefully. He has enough stories, 24 hours not enough to tell. And listen to the other person, he also waiting till they get a chance to tell his or her stories, and she says it's very personal, confidential, private. Can you say it as a whispering? Because that it is not common with others. These are the characteristics of defilements. You personify. You kill, it is me. In Sri Lanka we have a radio channel. After 9 or 10 days is private and confidential. So you can talk to the person. That person is, of course, everyone can listen to that. But program is known as private and confidential. Pudgalikai Rasikatai. We are masters to make this bloody fool, bloody shit, me, mine and myself. And that is how you can understand as far as the mind is concerned. Mind is working. Mind is under agenda. It's always its agenda. It is the liking and disliking are the two doorways outside frustration. So try to understand as and when it happens, it is not so difficult. The Buddha says, Chakkuna rupan dissa uppajjati manapang uppajjati amanapang. Whenever you see visual object by your eye, immediately liking and disliking happen. So the Sekapuggala, or the person who restrain, he understand this manapa and amanapa, olarikam paticcasamuppanna sankatang. It says it's so gross, you can understand up to that level, no liking and disliking. Now it came into being. So you can see it's a gross. It's how it happened. Have and have not. Having the having the liking and disliking, and have no liking and disliking. If you are vigilant, you are diligent, if you are prepared, you can see as and when it happens, uppannam manapam, so sankatang, paticcasamuppanna, olarikam. It's very gross. And sankatang, it is not related to one singular variable. It is depending on number of variables. Each and everything on the earth, no single factor, no single proximate cause, lot of proximate causes or variables, and paticcasamuppanna, it has its own due cause, no second person. So each and every liking and disliking, it's a happening thing. It's called, it is happening asampajana, without giving any chance for you. You have no choice, don't worry. The reason, liking or disliking, don't worry, because it is arising due to its momentum. It's a habituation. It's due to karmic forces. It is due to your liking and disliking you fostered so far. You can't, all of a sudden you can't stop it. If you are going to stop, that's the point you go to asylum. You go mad. It can go mad. So let them happen, but don't consider understanding my liking and disliking, understanding my craziness or cravingness, or understanding my conceit, understanding my egotistic thinking as a defilement. This is not a defilement, that's the highest Dhammajiva, the highest benefit or the maximum of your meditative life. If you can see why you are talking due to the tanha mana ditti. You do why you are doing something, you are doing due to tanha mana ditti. You are thinking due to tanha mana ditti. So once it comes to the volitional level, once it comes to the willful level, then onward you can't control. But they are happening in a slow way. So when and where happening, if you are to look into without giving commentaries, without become disheartened, without considering it as a defilement, this is what you call the noble quest. This is what the prime thing we have to do before it is too late, before we go to the deathbed, before we become too old, before we become too sick, because that needs so much of energy. So when and where it is happening, it's your moralistic idea completely blocking you. It won't allow you to see your own mistakes. You think seeing your own mistake is a mistake. This is what the philosophy we are following. To give a clue, to give a example, the commentators, they fabricate a story to exemplify it. He says if a monk is living in a monastery nearby a road, and one person is going on the road, he is shouting and telling, I am selling bowls, arms bowls. So that monk says, hey guy, just wait, I need a bowl. So he come with the set of bowls and display to the monk and says, Bhante, select whatever you like and then I can give you the cost. So he select one. He select very handy size and all the kind of things. Then he asks, then he says, $1,000. Then he says, okay, now no more concern about the rest of the lot. So he is observing, knowing this is 1,000, and while you are observing, he find a small, tiny hole. And then he says, the dealer, hey, you say 100, I like this. You see, there's a tiny hole. The welding is not properly. He says, okay. But if you like it, take it for $80. Then again he is observing. While observing, he finds the second thing. And then asks, You see now, when you have one hole, you told it 80, now it's two holes. He said, okay, 75. And then again he's observing. While observing by the third one. And then he's compromising for 70, for example. And then the commentator asks, finding this fault in the ball is a bad or good? Once you paid the bill, it is bad. Before paying the bill, you good. So, before claiming your deed, just see how many anicca, how many dukkha, how many anatta in it, why you claim. Once you pay the bill, it says underneath, already sold items never can be returned. So that is what you find in the bill. So before paying, before committing, telling this is my deed, this is my word, this is my thinking, see, always three holes are there, anicca, dukkha, anatta. So therefore don't consider finding your fault, own fault is a fault. Because even the Buddha can't do it. Buddha has given the tools. Buddha has given the ways and means. But if you are moralist, you are not happy. Moralists are the worst lot because they are very judgmental. We are very vehemently judging and says it is bad, it is wrong, so I must not look at my faults, I must try to do away with. You can't do away unless otherwise you see the same under your very eyes, and when and where you see the arising mistake, you have the pathway to its source. That's the way. So therefore let the desire arises when you are young, when you are robust, when you are full of mindfulness. Let your conceit arises when you are midst of all the noble friends and Dhamma, everything. Let the egotistic ideas happen because it is not your intended thing. It is something happening through the habit. So when that is happening, that you are worth calling yogi. You are the only person worth calling yogi, otherwise you are hiding your own mistake. Whenever you find mistakes, you feel shivering, you feel vomitish, you feel nauseatic or allergic reaction because of your morality. So, almost all the renunciated people, they are so much in the majority are self-torturing. I know much about the forest monks. I feel sorry because they have renunciated with so much of effort. And then onwards, utterly self-criticism, and female are the worst. Nuns. Not a single one I have seen happy. They have renounced after so much of sacrification, knowing everything. But as soon you renounce and say, I am a nun, so much of the conceit. So much of egotistic. So even the flies can't go by her because it's a complaint. It's a joke. That is the way I am making my happiness, making my... Not I am looking down it. I see how much I am self-critical. Whenever I find my own mistake. Earlier I had a very shameful ideas for me whenever I see my mistakes. But my good or bad thing is I am telling my friend, whoever may be, close by telling something happened. This is very dirty, very difficult to tell you, but I am sorry. That particular person says, don't tell me because I am now suffering. Then I say, it's your problem. I have to pass my baby. Throughout my character, I did it. So earlier, I used to rob books from the libraries. That's my famous hobby. I go to the famous libraries and rob books. And I had one shelf full of books. Not reading. That's only bad thing. Otherwise, I would have kept them. So then I met one of the very gentle person in our batch. I told, these books are robbed for the sake of robbing. No use. Would you mind to return them? You are a hell of a person. When I am returning, I am the person going to get caught up. And therefore, that I can't do it. Then I told, no, you are a decent person. I am not. And you see at the end of the book it says, if it is you find misplaced, please return to that. So therefore you have excuse. Please. So when he is doing it, he was telling, you are such a fellow, shameless fellow. But telling me, I can't understand what is the rationality behind. So I am telling to you decent people now, openly, the dirty thing that I have done, I can't explain. And everything I have expressed to at least someone. So that is when the Buddha says, confession. Tell it to someone, and he must be a mature person, have kind of a compassion, and that is the highest spiritual friend. That's the highest true man. You have someone to share with. And later, others also will come and tell you, they also don't divulge these things. You have no rights, but you have a great way of relieving these people, and ultimately by just telling, problem solved. That is what you call counseling. That's what is the psychotherapy. And Sigmund Freud, he wrote in 1919, he told, when you are listening to a sick person or psychopath, you listen everything as if you are very eagerly listening, but behave like a deaf person. And later everyone negated saying, how can you carefully and interestingly listen? As a deaf person, it is completely negating about what you are listening. So therefore that is not practical, you are talking nonsense. But when the Eric Fromm, he learned from Zen Buddhism, he got this point, he says, Buddha mentioned, even if we are a person with proper eyes, ears, listen like a deaf person. So listen to, see to your weaknesses, very clearly look at it. Diligently, vigilantly, but behave like a blind person. Listen to your all bad words. Behave like a deaf. Let your mind to play hell. Behave like an idiot. Behave like a no sense. So you have to behave like idiot, otherwise you can't escape from this world. This world is so smart with knowledge, and knowledge is the source of suffering. So that is what, whenever you eat the fruit of knowledge, you are desperate, you are away from the paradise. The Bible starts with that story. So whenever you become innocent, you are back to the paradise. No knowledge. Knowledge is the one make you deprived of the paradise. So whenever such a thing happens, don't rush to a decision. Don't analyze it. Let it happen again and again. That is what you call innocence. That's what you call innocence. Don't rush. Don't ask someone, this thing happened, what does it indicate? There are a lot of implications are there. But they are evolving. First you see, second you see, third you see. You can understand wherever these likings and disliking happens. At the beginning, it is true, at the beginning you will feel you will never end this game. So therefore no use of wasting time on the likings and disliking, because it is so inherent. It is naturally happening. Don't worry. The Buddha has given the golden key. He says, let the liking and disliking happen. Don't get inferior. Don't get upset about that. Have a prepared mind. Next day, next time when it happens, may my mind plunge into that one thought moment before. May my mind enter into this liking and dislike one thought moment before. That preparedness is the only savior for you. That is what they call pakkanda. You must see, mistake happens. You yourself is judging, telling it is no good. But it is happening. It is happening, it's not due to you. That is the way, the samsaric cycle. When it happens second time, third time, fourth time, repetitively application, repetitive observation is called anupassana. Anupassana means again and again you see. That is exactly vipassana. Each time when you see, due to your familiarity, due to your preparedness, its inflicting nature reduces. So inflicting nature is reducing. We have to take the main advantage of it. Even your worst mistake, when it is happening again and again, beyond your control, there's a reason to be regretting I am such a dirty fellow. But there's another chance to say, now when it is happening again and again, if I can see one thought moment before yesterday or last event, then you see the way. The answer is at the base. So therefore, repetitive application is now the science is using this technique, which Buddha is the one first invented it. So our life is always cyclic. Breath is cyclic. Left and right is cyclic. In-breath and out-breath is cyclic. Our tension movements, tension, frustration are always cyclic. Whenever it is happening, even if you take drugs or even if you take the painkiller, next time it is happening. So best thing is be prepared for the next and try to catch it one thought moment before. For that you have to have the plunging capacity. Entering into the capacity. So for that you have to understand, yesterday while it is happening I was carried away by this, but I suffered. Today or next time when it is happening, definitely it's going to happen. If it is not so, it is not important, going to happen. May my mind plunge into this thing one thought moment before. And Pasi, that you have to appreciate that plunging capacity. If you are not stimulating it, mobilizing it, catalyzing it, it never works. You have to push it, you have to prompt it. That prompting is what you call, not the saddha, it's called kusala chanda or adhimokha. You have to stir it. For that only the Buddha has to come on the earth. You have to listen to it. Whenever it repetitively happens, urge, you plunge into that and be appreciating. Not very slowly, it catch one thought moment before. Next day, one third moment before. It's very slow. But you understand, now you appreciate. By your appreciation, once you go there, you never immediately jump out. You stay there. Experience it. Season it. Master it. And then you develop your own confidence. The devil is not so dark. The yakaya, ochara kalu nahe. When you go and appreciate it, there's a essence. Essence is always in the mistake. Whenever you are happy, when you are gain, your mind is very shallow. When the suffering happens, it has essence. So how to reap it is pakkandati, pasidati, samthitati, adimucchati. So whenever bad thing happen, don't run away. Just try to face it and catch it one thought moment before. That is what, when and where the akasa or space happen, see how the vijnana is going to take the upper hand and going to see either akasa is better and the earth element is bad, or earth element is good and akasa is bad. And when it is happening, don't give up the game. Just observe from where does this likings and disliking happen. Then you can see the culprit behind. Magic of the game. So that is the end of the today's talk. With that, I would like to sum up the talk today. Thank you very much for listening.